This podcast is sponsored by One Gutter Guard, the premium gutter guard that delivers the highest performance, quality, and value to your customers. From its different mesh filters to its unibody construction, One Gutter Guard can be the difference maker in your business. Are you interested in becoming part of the exclusive dealer network? Contact them today at onegutterguard.com or just give them a call. Now back to our show.
What's going on, guys? It's Tim with Gutter Growth, and I got Sean Crane with me. What's going on, Sean?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing today?
Doing wonderful, man. It's beautiful out here. I'm in Santa Barbara, California. It's like 72 degrees. It's one of those good days, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's nice here, too. I'm in Florida. So,
Okay.
I'm excited to have you speak at the summit. For those that don't know you, can you give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I'm the founder of Unstoppable 365, which is a personal development program for really men and women in the trades, blue collar workers. It's becoming the number one personal development program for people who want to level up and grow, man, and predominantly in the trades and business owners because they have the most on their plate. And those are the individuals that have trouble prioritizing their health, being consistent in the routines that help them feel their best. And over time, that affects the way they run the business or the way they show up for their family. So we have a really dynamic program. Three-time Miss Olympia Whitney Jones runs the women's side of things. Dr. Jerem Ipsen, he's our performance doctor. He does blood work and can prescribe peptides, supplements, hormonal replacement therapy for guys. And so we have an app all our guys follow with mindset coaching, fitness programs, nutrition coaching. So we're really just, putting all the pieces together to make the most dynamic program available. But dude, I've been on this journey for a long time. Like, my story, and this is what I speak about on stages and to audiences. It's like where I come from and who I became on that journey that allows this to be possible. Because we have a 7-figure business. I've scaled the 7-figure business already. Now we're going to take this one to 9 figures. Been able to travel and speak on massive stages, build relationships with some of the coolest, most successful people in the business and entrepreneurial world. And I have the family of my dreams. I have my beautiful wife, Jessica, and our 3 children, and they're my most important thing in the world, man. And this all happened, because I decided to really go all in on myself. Like when I was younger, I had dreams to be a professional baseball player, and I felt that I could accomplish anything I wanted. But my home life started falling apart, man. And my dad and my mom were doing drugs. They were fighting. And I lost both my parents at a young age. My dad went to prison. My mom had a new boyfriend and stopped coming home, and she was on the streets. So that just wrecked me. It broke me, man. I didn't know how to cope or deal with those life circumstances. And I quickly found out that if I'd smoke some weed or drink or take a pill, I would forget about my problems. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Like I'm not in pain anymore. I'm not sad. I'm not angry. But I just started doing that more and more. And then that really killed my own ambition. And I stopped dreaming big. I stopped taking action. I stopped living and like I did when I was younger. I was really like just pursuing being a better version of myself. So from 14 till 23, I didn't do anything with my life. And I was just one of those people who had potential, but it was squandered because they made excuses. Right.
Yeah.
And then God intervened, man, and sent me to prison. And at 23, I was facing life in prison from a fight at a party that took place. And I didn't even do the crime they accused me of. There was an assault with a weapon, and I didn't even do it. But I was being charged with the crime. And so I was fighting for my life, man. And for 8 months, I was trying to find a way to make this thing go away, or someone would come forward and tell the truth, or, something would happen. I always had this vision of being able to get out and go back to my ordinary life. But that didn't happen, man. I ended up being sentenced to 7 years in prison. And that's where the real work began, and that's where I started to build a sound, unbreakable mindset, daily habits that create success, and really build confidence, true belief in myself by showing up every day in the most difficult circumstances possible. And so I wrote a book about my experience, Prison of Your Own. You can get this on Amazon. I'll share a link with you guys. I'll bring some copies to the event too.
Sweet.
And pass them out. But yeah, that's like, my journey in a quick little, 2-minute glimpse, but there's a lot that went into this journey.
So that's a hell of a journey. So when you were locked up, what happened where you just decide I'm going to go all into myself?
Yeah, so I had to face the truth, man. Like, I think a lot of us, we live in denial, and your phone will do it, drugs will do it, always being busy will do it. When you're really busy and distracted, you don't always see the truth about what's taking place in your life. For me, it was drugs and alcohol, and I was just in denial. I was running from my problems. I didn't want to admit the truth about my past and what had happened in my life. And so when we do this, we're just continuing the same process over and over, hoping that somehow, some way things are going to change or that we could forget about the past entirely, at least for me. And when I sat in that cell, man, I saw nothing but the things I didn't do. All I thought about was what could have been, who I could have become. I just felt so much regret and shame
Hmm.
for the way I lived my life. And that tortured me, man. And it freaking tortured me to the point where I became obsessed with redemption. I remember I just had this moment where I was like, no, fuck that. This isn't how it's going to end. I got to find out where this other path in life could lead to. Like if I truly go all in on myself, and we all have that intuition inside of us about what we should do and what we shouldn't do. It's like the
Yeah.
cartoons, right? Where you have the good angel on one side and the devil on the other side. I was choosing to listen to this voice. But a lot of times that voice isn't always really bad shit. It's just procrastination, doubt, all the what ifs. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? People get in the habit of listening to that voice their entire life, and they create this life that they don't even want. They live a life that they constantly have to escape from. And that was me. So when I realized this, man, I was like, you know what? I'm going to find out what'll happen if I really go all in. And this is me making a decision in a jail cell. Like it's not like I can get up and go down the street and go to the gym or start building a business or
Yeah, you're limited on what you can
but it
do.
was here, bro. It's an internal shift that takes place. Like a lot of people say they're all in and they're not even fucking close. Like when I said all in that moment, it was life or death. Like I don't care if I'm in the cell. I don't care where I'm at in my life. If I go to prison for 50 years, I'm going to make that the best 50 years I ever could have. It was just this internal shift that took place inside of me. So I made that promise and commitment. And every day after that, I started getting up and taking action. And I remember I'd get up and I'd look around in my little cell and I'd think, well, what can I do right now to better myself? Like, what could
Yeah.
I do just in this moment to improve who I am? And so that led me to doing a workout. And then I'd get a book to read. And then, I'd look for more stuff. And I started realizing I didn't know the meaning of a lot of words. I wasn't good at spelling. Like I was writing
Mhm.
letters back home and my spelling sucked. My dad at the time would correspond with me and he'd say, hey man, your writing's not very legible, your spelling's off. He would kind of try to correct me in a positive way, but I
Yeah.
didn't like the way that felt. And so I took it upon myself. I started using this little pocket dictionary to look up words as I was reading or when I was writing. And my letters went from looking illegible like a fifth grader or a fourth grader to like the best freaking letter I could have wrote. Perfect penmanship, every word spelled correctly. Like I treated those letters like the whole world was going to read them and they were representing me. You know what I mean? Every
Yeah.
little detail. So it was just that attention to detail and the focus I started to have. And I felt my mind start to change and expand, bro. Like I'm looking up words in the dictionary. I'm reading these books. I'm working out every day. And in a very short period of time, I started to feel something I lacked most of my life. And that was truly being proud of who I was and the things I was doing. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of people have a misconception. They think like, oh, every once in a while we have a good month in business or a big year, those big accomplishments. What about every day, the things that we're doing? That's what counts the most. And that's what creates the belief you have in yourself and the perspective in which you see the world. Because a guy who could show up every day and build up those small incremental wins, he starts to dream bigger. He starts to think that he can accomplish bigger things because he's proven to himself that he can execute consistently. So that's what started happening to me in my jail cell. And this was before I even went to prison. And
Yeah.
and by the time they sent me to prison, my mindset was that I was going to make every day the best fucking day I could. And if I overcame that challenge, I knew nothing in life was going to stop me. Like I looked at that as the defining moment of my life and what I was going to do, who I was going to become. And so when I got to prison, it was the same routine. It was up early, working out, reading, writing. I just became obsessed with personal development. And now I could get books sent in and I had more resources. I started taking college courses because they had a correspondence program. And
Hmm.
that's when I really fell in love with like education. I had textbooks on psychology, sociology, human and behavior sciences. I would get literature sent in about physiology, nutrition, exercise science. So I just really became a student in prison. And then I was applying that stuff. I'd apply it in my workouts. I'd apply the psychology concepts in conversation or observing the inmates. And I
Mhm.
really was just, I acted as if I was like in a school, man, or this was a test. It was different than just being in prison. I had to train my mind to see that experience as an opportunity versus something that was working against me.
I got friends when I was younger that ended up going to prison, and it seemed to like ruin them. Like,
Yeah.
how did you be so positive in like a negative atmosphere?
Yeah, so I saw that happen a lot. I had friends the same thing. They went to jail once and they came out a different person or prison. I didn't want to be like those guys, man. Growing up, I kind of glorified that lifestyle. Like
Mhm.
my family had a history of going to prison and being involved in criminal activity and organized crime too. Like my grandfather comes from back east. I heard all these stories about the Irish mafia and all these things, man. And so, I'm growing up with my uncles around me. We're watching Goodfellas, we're partying together. Like I thought it was cool until I was in that world and I realized this is not cool at all. This is where, where your dreams die and your life's over. And so when I made that change in the cell that I was going to be all in on my true self, my true self was not a guy who glorified violence or who liked to get in trouble, who acted that way. So I use that as an example of what not to be. And, I showed people respect. I got respect because of my discipline and the way I carried
Mhm.
myself, but I was not in the mix. I wasn't using drugs. Right. So
Mhm.
when I made that commitment to be my best self, I made a promise that I would never use drugs or alcohol ever again. Like that
Okay.
had to happen to get
Yeah.
here. And that was 12 years ago. I've been sober ever since. But so the fact that I wasn't using drugs got me out of the mix. I wasn't, because that's what all the trouble stems from is who has the drugs, who did this, who did that. So I didn't put myself in those environments. I put my head in a book, in my workouts, and around a couple positive people that I could have real conversations with. We'd play chess, and so it was just a mindset, man. It was a mindset.
You're more of a leader in the situation.
Yeah, yeah, in a different way, like, not really like a lone wolf, but kinda like I didn't need to fit in. I didn't need people's approval. A lot of people wanna fit in and be a part of whatever it is just to feel comfortable.
Right.
But it was my daily routines and my vision that was giving me way more than any accolades other people coulda gave me. Like, the way I was feeling about myself, I was like, "Damn, dude, I'm onto something so powerful," because I remember even before I went to prison, man, going to sleep at night, feeling this immense gratitude inside of me for the way I was living. Like it was
Mhm.
more joy that I'd ever experienced in my life. Maybe like a little bit in childhood when everything's just carefree and you're full of love and life, but it was different. It was because I knew I had a second chance and I really cared and I wanted to do good and I was going to put everything I had into everything in front of me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. So when you got out, you know, you did all that work in there, working on your mindset. What did that look like transitioning? And because,
Yeah.
a lot of
It's
people are starting off with nothing right now.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you get out of prison with $200 in your pocket and you have nothing, and it's crazy because on one side you're like on one side of the coin you're just so happy to get out and you're thinking about that day every day while you're incarcerated. And then the closer it comes to happening, there's a lot of anxiety and stress that people go through because you
Mhm.
go from having your meals given to you, having your bed, like every no bills, which sucks because you're deprived from your loved ones and life, but then you're thrust into this fast-paced world where now you gotta kill to eat, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta go
Yeah.
out and earn your way, and so, the way I prepared for it was the way I prepared every day just to be able to get through the day. It was the same routines, the same self-talk, the same, you know, coaching that I did on myself in prison to get through each day. It was just preparing for it and knowing it was gonna be difficult, but so I got out and I had $200 to my name. My brother and sister picked me up. We went right to Huntington Beach, which is in California. The waves were huge that day. Me and my brother went out in the ocean and we were surfing. It was really cool. It was like this picture perfect return. And then I
Yeah.
went and stayed on in a trailer on my aunt and uncle's property. And I started working with my uncle for a couple months. And I hated it because it was the work I did before prison. It was tree work. It was manual labor. And I love my uncle and I love the business he's built, but I didn't want to do that. I had bigger dreams. I wanted to change lives and make an impact on this world. And so every day I was there, man, I was just like, damn, what am I going to do? Like, where do I start? What's that first opportunity? I didn't know what to do. So I started calling people in my friends, my contact list. I had an old phone and I found one of my high school friends who was doing personal training. I said, man, I'm really into fitness. I changed my whole life in prison. I want to help people. Like, what advice would you give me? Is there any opportunities you know about? And he's like, well, I've been training clients at this gym. I have a lot of clients. In fact, I was looking to bring another personal trainer on board to work with me. If you get certified, man, I'll hire you. I'll bring you on. So I went and I got the certification in like 3 weeks to become a personal trainer. And then I packed all my shit and I moved back to Santa Barbara. I had like $700 to my name, and I showed up that day with no place to live, no car. And I got all that done in one day. I found a room to rent, got my job, and I found this old beat up car that I could borrow that was just smashed in and just looked like shit. But that was my start. I was so fired up, man. I didn't care about failing. I didn't care about what people thought. I was just tunnel vision on where I was going and what I was going to do. And so I worked there with him for six to 8 months. And I knew that I wasn't an employee. Like, I'm a visionary. I'm a leader, man. I'm not I'm not an employee. And so after about 8 months, like that whole time, I'm making $1,700 a month, and I'm paying rent. I'm paying a car payment now. And that's when me and my wife got together. So that's cool because she remembers me when I was broke, like we joke all the time. She was buying dinner. I remember the first time I like took her out somewhere nice. I used my debit card, and that was the last dollar I had to pay for that dinner. You know what I mean? And it's so cool looking back on those memories. But, I just started progressing, man. From there, I left working with him and started my own fitness company, which was personal training, right? I would go to different gyms and train clients, and I was just building a positive reputation for myself. And I was starting to actually get ahead a little bit. I was making some money. I was building my clientele. And then my wife was pregnant at the time too. So we were having a kid, and all this stuff was coming together. I was like, dude, I'm fucking doing it. I finally got like one step above from the bottom out here. Like, prison was below the bottom. You know what I mean? And then when I got out, I'm almost 30 years old and I have $200 to my name, and I have nothing, no car, fucking nothing. So I finally started getting ahead. I'm making like 5, 6, 8 grand a month, just hustling, training people. And now my wife's going to have a baby. And I'm like, damn, like, I'm creating the dream life, man. That's all I wanted, was a family that I could take care of. And I told my wife from day one, I'm going to take care of you, baby. Like, we're going to the top. That was always the mantra. And so, at that point, COVID-19 shut all the gyms down. And I remember just sitting there. I'm like in a chair like this, like a rocking chair, 4 a.m, dude, just going, fuck, what am I going to do? I lost all my clients, all my money overnight. No one wanted to leave their house. And I got my wife, my oldest son, Mason, who's technically my stepson.
Well, that was during COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I got my oldest boy, Mason. He was 10 at the time. My daughter, so that's my stepson technically, but he's with us full time, taking care of him, showing him, how to be a young man. Then my daughter Scarlett was just born, and we just found out my wife was pregnant with Preston right away. And I'm like, so I have a family to take care of, and now I just lost all my clients, all my income overnight. And I remember I was so stressed out, and I was like, what am I going to do? I'm looking in the bank account. We have like $1,500 to our name. And I almost called my Uncle Mark back and asked him for a job, and I couldn't do that. I left he had an opportunity for me. When I came home, he's like, look, if you want to work with me and take over the family company, it's yours. And I said, hey, I love you. Thank you for everything, but that's not my path, Yeah. And I left to go take this personal training job. And, who the fuck makes it personal training? They were all probably thinking, dude, Sean's not going to make it, or this isn't.
I was a trainer for a year. I didn't make it.
It's a stepping stone. I knew it was a stepping stone to where I'm at today. I just felt it. I had the vision. And one thing about me, man, is like, I'm so delusional with my visions. I'm not the type of guy to sit there and worry about things going wrong. I just always believe it's going to work out. And I just have these crazy visions of how it's going to happen. And I just believe in that so much. I take massive action, and it always turns out that way. And so I remember I did the same thing, during that moment when I was stressing over the money during COVID. I realized, man, I'm not just a fitness coach. Like, I can help people with their mindset, overcoming depression, overcoming addiction. Like, I went through so much and overcame so much. I'm like, I'm a life coach, man. And I need to be that guy and share that guy with the world. And so I started going on Facebook Lives, and I just really started promoting myself as a life coach and creating my online business. And the first month I got my first online clients, and I hit 10K, and I was like, damn, as a personal trainer, my number one goal financially was just to hit 10K a month consistently. And I could
Yeah.
never reach it because I'm trading time for money, you know?
Right.
And so I hit it really easily. And from that point, I never looked back. I scaled my business. And for about 3 years, it was just straight hustle mode, using social media, getting my guys results, building, you know, relationships, building my reputation. And that's when the speaking opportunities started coming too, because I was telling people like, hey, put me on your stage, like watch what I do for your audience, watch the value I can bring. I knew I had an energy and a message that I could transfer to the audience that would change their lives. Like I just knew it. And so I started getting those opportunities, man. I spoke at Victor's events, Victor Rancour, Tommy Mello's events, just a lot of events that were focused on the trades specifically. And that's how I started building relationships with all these different business owners and guys in the trades, blue collar guys. And dude, that just blew everything up. Like the last year has been insane. The amount of growth we've had in the company. I went from just me to having 12 employees and business partners, like literally just like that. But it was all the years of work, you know, all the years developing myself that when I got around those people or in the right rooms, I could bring value. And that's the thing. It's like so many people want opportunity. They want to just get ahead, but how much are you really fucking working on yourself? Like how many books are you reading? How much time are you spending reflecting? How many workouts are you crushing? How many good meals are you putting in your body versus shit food? Like it's so important. Your mindset and your habits are everything. That's the foundation. Then from there, you got to develop skills and become valuable. Once you do that, go get around the people. Go get around the people that you can collaborate with, that can put you on a stage or that want to do business with you. And that's what I did, man. And it all just came together perfectly. And it's been insane. It's been an insane journey, but I've loved every step of it.
Yeah, no, that's a hell of a journey, man. Yeah, I guess a lot of the blue collar guys kind of resonate with that. I mean, plenty of us have been in legal trouble and, you know, starting off with nothing, trying to grow a business. And, you know, me coming from, I was a personal trainer when I was 18. And I've always cared about my health and nutrition. I've been slacking the past couple of months because of an injury, but I still eat good. But people don't realize how important it is, like for business, because, you know, if you're 50, 60 years old and you're in shape, you're going to be way ahead of that guy who's not in business. I mean,
yeah, I mean, dude, fitness is the most important habit you can develop in your life. Like, it's crazy to me that people don't focus on being healthy. Like, without your health, you have nothing. And I don't think it's an intentional thing. I mean, I work with a lot of blue collar guys, and I see all the same symptoms. Like when you're focused on your business or working, you're doing it to provide. You got probably a family to take care of, or you want to get ahead. It's not easy to make it in this world, honestly, man. You got to work hard at it. But here's the thing: it takes so much of their time and energy and focus. They start neglecting things like their health. You know what I mean? Working out, eating right. Because right now it's not a problem. You can get away with that when you're younger, but over time, you gain weight, you don't have as much energy. All of a sudden, it catches up to you. And when you're physically fit and working out, eating right, you have so much more energy and focus, and you show up at such a higher level in your business and for your family. So that's what I help the guys that work with me to do. Like we put all the pieces together. We have an app that they can follow where we can really systematize their personal development. We can track their daily workouts, their nutrition, anything that they want to be held accountable to. We structure it on the app and the profile they have. And these workouts are customized based on their goals, you know? So with a little bit of accountability and the right plan, you can develop the right habits. But a lot of people are trying to just figure it out on their own, or they're saying, "Oh, I'll eventually do it," and eventually never happens. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said with having a coach or someone that's kind of helping you guide it, you know, guide you through the process. That's why we started Gutter Growth, the mastermind group, because, you know, when you've been there, you could help people.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. Do you want to take like 10 years to figure something out that you can figure out in a year with a good coach?
Yeah.
Like for me, I was making up for lost time. So when I came home, right away, I invested into a business coach, and I didn't have the money. I started hearing about this online thing right before COVID, right? And I'm like, okay, I got to look into this. Like it made sense. I can reach 1 million people versus 100 people. Like, you know what I mean? I cannot trade time for money. I was always seeing the next step and the next level far before I needed to take it. Like that's the way I've just trained my brain to operate. So I hired my first business coach, and it was $5,200. I didn't have the money when he told me how much it was. I didn't have the money. I had like $1,000 to my name. But I
Yep.
went out, I hustled, and I got the money, and I paid him. And then I learned a 7-figure system working with him. And I continued to invest in myself. Like, I invested, my last coach was $50,000. And people go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But when
Yeah.
you invest in yourself, like, dude, when you do it the right way and you're with the right coach and you're learning the right concepts, like, it's going to 10x anything you would have done. Meaning
Collapse time.
it's going to collapse time, and it's going to always lead to bigger and better results. So it's a process that I've always done. And that's how I've moved so fast since I came home. Like, I scaled a 7-figure business in 2.5 years because of the information I got and the speed in which I applied it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I won't do anything without coaches. I mean, I join other mastermind groups other than my own, and it should always be devouring knowledge, reading books.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing too. Let's go back to the health thing. Like, would you rather be 300 pounds and like dying from diabetes and poor food and indigestion and have $10 million in your bank account, or like be young and healthy? Like, go ask anybody in the hospital or any older person what's more important. They're always going to say, man, your youth, like your health, you're young, you're vibrant. That's the most priceless thing. Because when you have your health, you can have tons of dreams and millions of ideas and goals. But when you're unhealthy, you just have one dream, one wish. That's to be healthy, right? So it's like we could have it all. We could be healthy and fit and prioritize our workouts, and also wealthy and make money and grow a successful business. In fact, when you are healthier, you're more likely to create the successful business long term and not sabotage yourself. And I know a lot of guys that they regret the amount of time they spent on the business and not with their families, or when they're with their families, they're not able to be present because they haven't really developed the right mindset. So those are the things that are most important to me, man. Like, I want to impact as many lives as possible. I want to grow a super successful business, but I'm never going to sacrifice time with my family. I'm never going to sacrifice my health to get there, because I'll look back and I'll regret it. And I'll go, damn, like, why the fuck did I give up the most important things in my life to pursue this thing that I thought was going to make me happy? Like, that thing doesn't always make you happy as you thought it was going to. You could be
Right.
just as happy right now. It's a shift in your mindset, though. And when you take care of yourself and you're working out every day and crushing personal goals, for me at least, I feel so damn good. Like, when I go to sleep at night, I look back on my day and I'm like, that was a 10 out of 10 day. I couldn't have given any more effort. I couldn't have done anything else that today, to the best of my ability. Like, that was the best day I could have lived. And when you do that consistently over time, the way you feel about yourself, like the fulfillment you create, that's what creates happiness. And that's what true success is, in my opinion.
What tips do you have for someone who's wanting to, change their mindset?
Yeah, I mean, for me, pain is the greatest motivator. Understanding what's at stake. I do this all the time. If I died tonight on the way home in a car accident, was I the best man for my family? Did I maximize my potential? Was I really all in? Like, I'm always playing these scenarios in my head to make sure I'm getting the most out of today. If you knew what was at stake, if you knew that you were going to die next year, your loved one was going to die next year, like, you'd spend way more time. When you were there, you wouldn't be on your fucking phone. You'd be present, right? Like, so I play these scenarios in my mind to get me to behave now accordingly. Like, that's it. Another thing too is I ask guys, I'll get guys that always say, oh, like, they're not going to the gym and working out, and they're giving me some excuse. They're too busy.
Yeah.
Like, okay, hey, check it out. If you're getting $250,000 deposited into your account every day you hit the gym, how many days this week would you miss?
Never.
And right away, they're like, none. Well, why? You just said you were too busy. See, they understand the value of the money, but there's a disconnect. They don't understand the value in creating their best self and what that's going to do for them for the rest of their lives. Like, there's a disconnect, right? So I have a lot of strategies like that. I mean, I have a whole mindset course my clients go through to help them cultivate their vision and to really create a powerful connection to that vision. Because a lot of times people don't have that clarity and they don't know what they really want. So they waste time, they get distracted, they make excuses. But if you can get laser focused on what you want and you know why it's important and what's at stake, if you don't give your all to get there, it'll change the way you operate day to day.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's see, Brandon. Yep. Yeah, it's a good story, Brandon. Brandon's in my mastermind group.
Yeah. I mean, dude, a lot of people, go through tough times when they're younger. And here's what I'd say. Like we have an advantage. If you can take that stuff that we go through and learn how to condense that energy and channel it into the right things, we like a lot of guys who went through tough times have more drive. They're able to tap into more gratitude for a second, third chance. We have a different perspective. So like I'd rather come from nothing and have to earn my way than be hand fed everything from the moment I was born. Because you don't appreciate it. You don't have that grit, that determination. So like any guys who've gone through tough times, I tell them, good, you're fucking tough, right? Now let's take that mindset that maybe you used for the wrong reasons back in the day, and let's channel into the positive actions that are going to give you your dream life. The thing is, though, a lot of individuals, they have this lack of self-worth, or they have this thing where they don't believe in themselves. Because if you've done dirt in the past, you've gone through tough times, there's that feeling. That's why the daily routines are so important. Like that was me. And I just chose to get up and work out every single day. I chose to read books every day. I chose to better myself every day. And those small little like incremental deposits into myself resulted in me believing in myself. That gave me the courage to come home and become an entrepreneur and not settle for the family job. That gave me the courage to go online and share my story and keep hitting these new levels. It's all because of the daily routines and habits I established a long time ago.
Yeah, what do they say? Like, if you don't keep the promises to yourself, it like erodes your confidence. Like, if you just do
that's
what
the
you say
biggest
you're
thing.
going to do.
Imagine if you could like extract every promise or every decisions you made that your subconscious mind is storing right now, and you give it a score. Like all the times you kept the promises would create a positive score. All the times you broke your promises would result in a negative score. What's the fucking score taking place up here? Like that's what it all comes down to. That's why, I have guys I mentor and even guys who are part of my team, other coaches, guys on the sales team. And some of them come from tough backgrounds. And, they'll talk to me and they'll talk to me about having imposter syndrome or doubting themselves. And I got to remind them, look, bro, you fucked up for 8 years. 8 years you were doing drugs, you were in and out of jail. You've been sober 2 years and you finally started doing the right thing. It's like a math equation. You got to give it a little more time before you really believe this is who you are now. And when that happens, though, you see this, and it doesn't take 8 years, though. It's going to take probably another year for him, maybe another 2. Right. When you're doing the right thing every day, it's like you get 2 points versus when you're doing wrong, you get like a -1, So that's the way I explain it, because I see it happen. I see the shift take place in them, and suddenly they have more belief, more conviction. And that's when they start getting bigger results. Once you have the belief and conviction, it's over, man. Nothing's going to stop you.
So it's a process. It's not like you're just going to boom, you're a different person the next day. It's just a commitment, right?
It's a decision, and then it's the ability to follow through with the right actions for a long period of time. You can change your life in one moment. You can make a decision right now, and as long as you follow through with the right actions every day going forward, that decision changed your life. Like that's what happened to me. I made that fucking decision in the jail cell. I drew a line in the sand. I said, I'm living over here for the rest of my life, not over there ever again. But I had to back it up with the right actions every day. If I use drugs and alcohol, I'd be full of shit, right? Like I did that 2 years ago with another decision. I said, I'm never going to eat dessert ever again in my life. I told my wife, I said, I'm never eating dessert ever again. She goes, you're crazy. Why not? I said, fuck dessert. You know how much cake and cupcakes I've had my whole life? I don't need that. Because here's the thing. I remember like when she was pregnant, we'd go get ice cream and indulge. And that was cool. I was doing all these Ironman competitions and long runs. I was in good shape. But I didn't like when I'd have a craving for something, how it felt so powerful. Like everyone can relate to that. Most people, they're addicted to food and they don't even realize it. When a craving hits, most people can't say no. Like it'd be late at night and I'd be like, damn, some cookies sound good, And then the other voice would be like, no, fuck that. You don't need the cookies. Like you're getting in good shape. Like you don't need the cookies. And then the other voice would be like, oh, just have a couple. You worked out hard. You'll run in the morning. And I'd justify it and I'd go eat the cookies. And I was still in good shape. Like I still had a good physique, but I didn't like not having control over my own behavior. And so I said, screw that. I'm never eating dessert ever again. And I haven't ever since. And people think that's crazy, but it's like, you want to live the ultimate life, you have to become the ultimate version of yourself. And
so
for
you never eat sugar?
I mean, I'll probably get sugar in like an apple. Let me think. Like I won't eat
like
syrup.
Sugar.
I'll eat honey. I put honey on my yogurt with berries. But I don't eat any processed sugar. I don't eat any desserts, nothing like that. I was joking with my wife the other day. I was super hungry, right? And
Mhm.
I forgot where we went, but they had chocolate chip pancakes. I saw it on someone's plate. So a couple days later, I'm like, "Hey, are chocolate chip pancakes considered dessert?" Right? And
Yeah.
she's so cute. She's like, "Actually, not really." I'm like, "No, fuck that. That's a dessert. I'm not eating that." But for me, man, I just hold myself to a really high standard, not because I want to say I'm better than anybody, but because I want to look in the mirror and know I'm living as my best self. That's the most important thing to me. And when you can live in integrity and alignment with who you truly want to be, like something
Mhm.
powerful takes place inside of you. Like you develop just this energy, man, that's infectious. And that's the energy that can really bring your dreams to life. So I figured that out a long time ago. And I'm always looking for ways to get an edge and sharpen myself. And that was one of the decisions I made.
Yeah, no, I cut sugar out like 8 years ago. I'm not gonna say that I've never had it, but whenever I do have it, I hate the taste of it now. It's like I used to like it, and now it's just like I don't even like it anymore. So like
Yeah,
dessert, I don't do it either.
it's crazy how that happens. I used to have a big sweet tooth, and since I cut it out, I never crave anything sweet. Like I'm not sitting here thinking about a candy bar or this and that. And, a lot of people, man, food's a really addictive substance. A lot of people don't have control over what they eat. And we don't
Mhm.
look at it the same way as we would someone putting a needle in their arm or becoming an alcoholic because there's not instant damage done typically. And, when you're doing drugs, there's instant damage done to
Right.
relationships, to health. People overdose and die. But I mean, look at our obesity rates. Most obese country in the world, 40% of men are obese. In my eyes, it's unacceptable because then our younger generation's grown up thinking that's okay and that's an acceptable man. It's not. I want my kids. I want to look like a fucking Spartan for my children,
Yeah.
for my boys. Right? I want to be able to protect them. I want to be strong, and most importantly, I want to do everything I can to have the healthiest, strongest body and mind.
Mhm. Yeah, no, sugar is definitely one thing to cut out for sure. So cool, man. Yeah, I'm excited to have you at the summit.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait.
So for those of you watching, if you drop the word grow in the comments, we'll go ahead and give you 10% off. For those that just jumped on, Sean's going to be speaking at the summit. Really looking forward to it. Mindset has everything to do with business. So Sean's going to come bring the fire when it comes to mindset, and it's really important. If you're trying to grow or scale a company, you got to start with your mind first.
Yeah, and I mean, personal development creates professional success, right? So, like, we could have some success without really prioritizing our health or our mindset, but, like, if you wanna reach a high level or sustain a high level, you gotta keep developing yourself. You gotta read books, you gotta work out, you gotta take care of yourself. So when I come, Tim, anybody that puts grow down below right now and grabs a ticket, I'll bring a copy of my book. So the first 10 people, I'll bring a signed copy for you. And this is really going to help with mindset too. This talks about how I changed my mindset in a jail cell with nothing. So the lot of the tips and strategies that I share in here, you can apply directly to your life right now. So the first 10 people, Tim, that do that, we'll just collect their info. I'll bring
Awesome.
10 copies of the book, and a lot of my story coincides with what I'm going to speak about and how it changed my life, and then how the audience can apply it to their life as well.
If someone doesn't want to wait and they want to read the book now, is it on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Prison of Your Own. You can get a copy. There's an
Okay,
Audible
awesome.
too. I did the Audible as well.
And if someone's interested in working with you for their fitness, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, on Facebook, I'm Sean Michael Crane. Instagram, Sean_Crane_official. You can literally DM me, or we can drop the link to my coaching program. It's unstoppable365.com. But shoot me a message. I answer all my own messages, especially like your audience, Tim. I like to build real relationships with people. Everyone that
Mhm.
comes into my program, they connect with me first. They either see my content or we have a conversation. I want to really change lives. Like, I'm not just out here building a program people follow and they never talk to me. I talk to all my guys. We do
Right.
calls every week. We have a tribe, man, a really close group of men, because that's how change takes place. You need accountability. You need support. You need to be around people you trust and you vibe with. So yeah, shoot me a message on Facebook and I'll gladly have a conversation with you guys.
Good deal, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here tonight, and sure everyone could take a whole lot from that. And I'm excited to see you at the summit.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. We're gonna crush it.
Cool, bro. All right, man. You have a good day.
All right, you too.